Well, hello. Today I'm going to talk to you about the ENTP and the INFJ, which are two different types. And I'm going to talk about their differences, but I'm also going to highlight why this couple could be good in a romantic sense. So I'm going to do a little bit of both. How about that? So INFJs and ENTPs only share one preference in common, and that is their intuition. And that can help tremendously. I think as a society, when it comes to male and female, we think thinker versus feeler to a certain extent. And so it's easier for us to grasp and understand. But that intuitive and sensor difference, I think, can create some of the biggest battles in a relationship. So it's good that they have that in common. And both of these types view the world in kind of unusual ways. But there are differences to this type. And sometimes you might find someone who is actually testing as one of these types when they're really the other. So let's say, for example, that an ENTP tests as an INFJ. I think what often happens is things look different on paper than they do when you actually have a picture of what the person looks like. And so if you don't have a lot of experience with understanding the picture of the person, you could easily get any type confused and gravitate towards one that isn't quite yours. And also, that introvert extrovert thing gets in the way of everyone because everyone seems to think that they're introverted when they're not. If I didn't understand the whole picture of each Myers-Briggs type, I might think that I was introverted. But then I think my love language is also not quality time, and so that plays a factor. So you see, I understand that. And I think that can make a difference in how someone feels about their type. You have to also look at other factors like love languages. I'm going to go in and out of differences versus other things because I think this relationship, this couple can have a really powerful romantic energy with each other because they're both into the possibilities. So they can both dream endlessly together and soar to new heights. And they can both have an innovative way of thinking. No mistake about it, these two are totally different types though. The ENTP has an electric energy and a spontaneity that they can grab from that can be difficult for an INFJ who can come across more serious. So let's say you put them in front of an audience. The ENTP can be a master at working with an audience. Let's say they're answering questions or they're gonna be able to jump in there and they're gonna come up with something. They are gifted at that. They feed off of people and they can come up with things very quickly. And INFJ is gonna struggle in that lane. They're not gonna, not to say that they can't do it, but their preferred lane is to plan. And I've seen some INFJs plan exceptional presentations that are very engaging and where you learn things and you get insight like never before. But the key is they're very planned. They don't have that, jump in there and, we're gonna fire off and answer all of these questions and I'm gonna give you the best insight about yourself that you've ever seen and I'm going to do it quickly. So both of these types can give people insight into themselves. They just do it in different ways and they're coming from a totally different perspective and you have to kind of train yourself to see that. So ENTPs are often drawn to the powerful visions and the integrity that the INFJ has. And INFJs are very idealistic and they really stick with things, and ENTPs admire that because sometimes ENTPs, unless they have really tapped into that, sometimes they may lack that same type of focus. Now, You might take someone, though, an ENTP, for example, who has been raised around someone, maybe a judger, or they're an only child. So sometimes only children, and I made a video on this about birth order, how it can propel them to, they can be more structured than your typical ENTP would be. So it just depends on what your influences are. INFJs can find the ENTP's charm seductive. And, ENTPs can be quite confident. They can be quite go with the flow. They bring out a more fun and playful side of the INFJ that they really enjoy, and they help them to relax and be open to new experiences. INFJs might be a lot more prone to getting their feelings hurt by people, whereas ENTPs, they're going to be like, not to say that they can't get their feelings hurt ever, but they're going to be more objective about things, and they're going to say things like, I don't allow people to make me feel bad about myself based on petty things, based on them trying to hurt my feelings. That does not work. So I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to be confident. And so they can help INFJs in that area. Both of these types can be quite perceptive, so it would be really fun for them to collaborate on their ideas or how they view somebody. In fact, I think that would be fun. I wish I could have a conversation with both of them together and just get their feedback. INFJs also help ENTPs to get organized or to focus on their talents and become more effective and productive, and so they can help each other a lot. So here are some more differences. And these differences, anytime you introduce differences into a relationship, that's where the problem comes in, because we're all viewing things from different angles, and we want people to see things from our perspective, and we want people to do things the way we do them, but that's not always possible because we have a different way of looking at things. So like these two types can be interestingly similar but yet vastly different. So what's interesting is both of them can, like for example, the INFJ, they may not be so realistic about some things that they're doing. They might also get lost and muddled in their own train of thoughts and their own visions of things, and before they know it, they are just, they haven't finished, or they're not on the path that they really want to be in, but they have a stronger ability for finishing things because they have a desire for closure and it's very strong. And so the ENTP, they're gonna like to start a lot of things, they're gonna have a lot of energy for that, but they may not be as great at closing things, or they might not have the capacity or the strength or the vision to close it, and so then they go on to something else. Well, the INFJ, who does have a strong need for closure, might insist that they close things too soon, and then they lose some aspects or some creativity or some ideas that could have made whatever it was that they were doing great. So it's like, how do you balance that out? It's like you need to finish it, but sometimes when people are in that think mode, that's where the creativity comes in. So they have to figure that out. ENTPs can find INFJ's way of looking at things quite stifling. INFJs are very moral in their position and very absolute, and that can be tiring for an ENTP, and because an ENTP wants to explore their options, and INFJs do too, but not in the same on the same level as an ENTP. So the ENTP will have a need for their partner to just listen, to be open, to be encouraging, to let them just flow. But the INFJ will feel frustrated sometimes because of the ENTP's extroversion and that need to talk out their thoughts, because they feel like they can't get their train of thought together because they need more quiet time and to have time to reflect and be more thoughtful. So here's where some big conflict can come in, and also some big differences. This is a way that you can differentiate what type you really are. Like, are you really an INFJ? Are you really an ENTP? Because that thinking, feeling, preference is going to play a huge role in their types, and it's also going to affect how they deal with their mates. So for example, the ENTP, they're going to be logical and detached when it comes to making a decision, and they can be not on purpose, but sometimes they're not so sensitive to their INFJ partner's feelings, and that can be offensive. And also the INFJ may feel jealous because they see the charm and the wit and the skill and the insight that the ENTP gives to other people. So for some reason that could be kind of shocking to them. Like, why are you being so insensitive to my feelings and what I want to do and how I think of things? And then the INFJ will start to moralize things and put their value on things. And you got that ENTP debate thing going on. So here it comes, marching up, and they can find themselves arguing about morals and values instead of the actual issue at hand. And the ENTP will find that quite frustrating. Even though it's annoying and frustrating to the ENTP, the INFJ will find it hurtful. But the ENTP can usually let some things go, because they're going to be objective about things. And when they're not interested in something, they can just go on to the next thing. Okay, so here's another difference area, the extroversion and the introversion. And here's also where some role confusion can come into play. Some INFJs see themselves as very extroverted, and they will test as very extroverted when they're not. Then will test as perceivers, because in their inner world they're molding over ideas and they feel very go with the flow when they're not. So it can be very confusing and very tricky. ENTP is like a very wide, broad group of people, and they get enormous energy from that. Even if they don't socialize a lot, when you put them in that setting, they're going to have a variety of types of friendships, whereas INFJs are going to actually enjoy having relationships that are deeply meaningful and kind of have a kindred soul type of vibe to them. So let's talk about if you are with an ENTP, this is how you want to reach them. So you want to let them talk out their ideas without trying to stop them and stifle them all the time. You want to let them know, hey, you know what? You can do anything you want. I totally believe in you. I got your back. You can play out every single one of your ideas as long as you don't spend all our money on them. Haha. I mean, well, that would be another topic of conversation. Time where you just talk about intellectual interests and ideas. Be spontaneous sometimes, go with the flow, exercise that piece of yourself. Be okay with communicating and not withdrawing just because they hurt your feelings or say something that you feel is a little offensive. Don't let that shut you down. Start all over and keep going, keep being yourself. If you have an INFJ partner, then you want to give them your full attention sometimes, where you just turn and you just pay attention to them and you're like, okay, it's your world right now. What do you want to talk about? And you want to be genuine, you want to be sincere. ENTPs have a tendency to be very, very flirty, and that's fun and cool. But sometimes just sit and just listen, take some things, be a little serious with them. And you want to also do some of the mundane things around your house that you hate doing, and that will really impress the INFJ, and they'll be so happy with that. Objectivity for things might cause you to downplay some of your partner's feelings, but try not to do that. Allow them to feel what they feel. And then you want to also make sure that you follow through with some of the things that you say that you're going to do, and don't make plans that you can't keep, because that will rub them the wrong way. So anyway, I hope you got something from this. Like I said, I think they can be like, this is a relationship that can be on fire. So if there are any other types that you want me to explore, then please like this video and also share with me in the comment section. I'd rather put my time into something that people are going to watch. So if y'all want to see more videos on your type, then like it. And I will see you guys on the next video. Make sure you subscribe, Chat with you later. Bye.